Increase speaking vocabulary, how to activate passive words and speak fluently. Have you ever noticed that when you're reading or listening in English, you understand a lot of words, but when it's time to speak, those same words seem to disappear? This happens because the words are part of your passive vocabulary, meaning you can understand them, but they're not yet part of your active vocabulary, the words you can recall and use in conversations. In this story, we'll explore how you can activate your passive vocabulary and speak more fluently. What is passive and active vocabulary? Before we delve into techniques, it's essential to understand the difference between passive and active vocabulary. Passive vocabulary includes the words you can recognize and understand in context, but you don't use them in speaking or writing. Active vocabulary includes the words you can recall immediately and use in conversations, emails, or any other communication. For example, when reading an article, you may come across words like elaborate or intriguing. You understand them in context, but when you're trying to explain something to a friend, you might say interesting instead of intriguing, even though you know both words. Why do we have more passive vocabulary? Our passive vocabulary is always larger than our active one. This happens because we encounter new words through reading and listening, but unless we practice using them, they remain passive. Learning vocabulary actively requires repetition and application in real-life situations. So, how do you activate your passive vocabulary? 1. Read out loud. One of the most effective ways to activate passive words is to read out loud. By doing this, you're not only seeing the words but also hearing and saying them, which reinforces their meaning and usage. Start with short stories or articles that are slightly above your comfort zone, so you encounter new words. For example, if you're reading an article about climate change and come across the word mitigation, pause for a moment. Say it out loud, and try to use it in a sentence. Mitigation strategies can help reduce global warming. The more you practice using it, the more likely you are to recall it during conversations. 2. Use new words immediately. Once you learn a new word, try to use it in a sentence as soon as possible. For instance, if you learn the word intricate, find ways to apply it in your day-to-day life. You can say, "The design on that vase is very intricate," or, "I found the puzzle to be intricate and challenging." The key is to repeat and use the word until it becomes part of your active vocabulary. 3. Engage in conversations. The best way to build your active vocabulary is by engaging in conversations. When you're chatting with someone, don't shy away from using new words, even if you're unsure whether you're using them correctly. It's better to try and make mistakes than to stick to safe, familiar words all the time. If you just learned the word profound, try using it. "That book had a profound impact on me," or "her speech was truly profound." Even if it feels forced at first, practice makes perfect. 4. Practice writing. Writing is another excellent way to transfer passive words into your active vocabulary. Start by journaling or writing short stories. The goal here isn't perfection but practice. If you've learned a new word, make sure to include it in your writing. For instance, if you learned the word apperception, write a sentence like, "My perception of the event changed after I heard both sides of the story." The more you write, the more confident you will become in recalling and using new vocabulary. 5. Use flashcards or apps. Apps like Anki, Memrise, or Quizlet allow you to create flashcards and review words regularly. These apps use spaced repetition, a technique designed to help you remember information over time. You can create flashcards with new words you want to activate and practice recalling them. For example, create a flashcard for the word subtle with a sentence like, "There was a subtle change in her attitude," and test yourself regularly until it sticks. 6. Learn words in context. Learning words in isolation often leads to forgetting them. Instead, learn new words in context. If you're watching a movie or reading an article, pay attention to how the word is used in a sentence. For instance, if you come across the word resilient in a documentary, notice the context. The community was resilient in the face of disaster. Try to use the word in a similar context. I admire her resilient attitude after the accident. 7. Mimic native speakers. One of the best ways to improve fluency and activate vocabulary is to mimic native speakers. Watch interviews, podcasts, or shows in English, and try to imitate the way they speak. Focus on their word choice, pronunciation, and sentence structure. For instance, if you're watching a TED Talk and the speaker says, "This initiative has a lasting impact on the community," pause and repeat the sentence. Try using lasting impact in your conversations afterward. 8. Set specific goals. Instead of overwhelming yourself with a long list of new words, set a specific goal. For example, aim to learn and activate 5 to 10 new words every week. At the end of the week, test yourself by writing a short paragraph or engaging in a conversation where you use these new words. 9. Surround yourself with English. To truly activate your vocabulary, immerse yourself in English. Watch movies, read books, listen to podcasts, and speak as much as possible. The more exposure you have to the language, the more natural it will become to recall and use new words in real time. 10. Be patient and consistent. Activating your passive vocabulary and speaking fluently doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process that requires patience and consistency. Make a habit of practicing every day, and over time, you'll notice that words you once struggled to recall will flow naturally in conversation. Conclusion. Increasing your speaking vocabulary and activating passive words is key to improving your fluency in English. By reading out loud, engaging in conversations, writing, and setting small goals, you'll gradually build a strong active vocabulary. Remember, the more you practice, the more confident you'll become. So, keep learning, stay patient, and soon enough, you'll find yourself speaking fluently with a wider range of vocabulary. Read aloud daily. Choose books, articles, or graded readers, and read aloud. This helps you become comfortable with vocabulary in different contexts and improves pronunciation. Learn in context. Instead of learning individual words, focus on phrases or sentences. When you understand how a word is used in context, it becomes easier to recall during conversations. Use active recall. Practice recalling vocabulary by explaining concepts, summarizing stories, or retelling what you've learned in your own words. Speak regularly. Regular conversation practice helps turn passive vocabulary into active vocabulary. Try to narrate daily experiences, even if you're speaking to yourself or recording your voice. Write and speak. Write stories or summaries, then practice speaking them aloud. Writing helps organize your thoughts, and speaking builds fluency. This long-form guide provides a comprehensive understanding of how to improve your vocabulary and fluency, perfect for anyone wanting to boost their English speaking skills.